Tak jo, takže dámy a pánové, já vás vítám u dnešního restreamu, oficiálního livestreamu s Peterem Whalenem jako designerem pro Hearthstone a Danem Chou alias Frodanem, kterýho znáte jako komentátora pro HCTs a HGG series. Budeme se to snažit dneska překládat tak, jak to půjde, já vám k tomu zkusím dát nějaký komentář, který prostě zvládneme. A doufám, že se to dneska spolu tady užijeme všichni, takže můžeme jít na věc. Já jsem zvědavý, jak to pojede. A doufám, že zjistíme nějaký novinky a možná, že třeba i nějaký nový mechaniky. Třeba místo sudí a lichý bude ještě třeba něco jako integrály, odmockiny, moskiny. Nebo taky něco jiného. A možná, že už konečně se dozvíme, jakou vlastně abilitu má Hagara, to je ta šamaní legendárka. A nebo taky vůbec nic. Let's go! Tak a je ticho. To je klasika.
Are we live? We're live. Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the official kickoff of the Witchwood expansion for Hearthstone's 2018 Year of the Raven. My name is Frodan. I am joined by game
Takže dámy a pánové, vítáme vás u dnešního streamu.
Why don't you go ahead and introduce us to the stream?
Klasika, prostě nějaký jako drobný introductions probíhají.
On Hearthstone, and we're gonna talk about some Witchwood cards. I'm very excited. Witchwood's pretty exciting. It's gonna be a fun expansion.
That's right. The Witchwood was announced, not too long ago, and I think everyone was really excited because the Year of the Mammoth, the shirt that I'm wearing today, big shout out to the Play Hearthstone team that gave me this. The Year of the Mammoth, just taking a step back and looking at it, we had a lot of diversity. I think a lot more than people maybe even were expecting. We had quests come out, and then we had Death Knights, and then legendary weapons. But even within those expansions, a lot of different mechanics. And now Witchwood is introducing Rush and Echo. Just talk a little bit about the inspiration.
Teďka tady Frodanem jako mluví o tom, že je tady vidět poměrně jako velká diverzita, že přichází nový mechaniky, jako je Rush a Echo a tak dále. Jestli máme čekat ještě něco dalšího.
Being tales from the tavern, that you've got a bunch of people from the World of Warcraft and they're hanging out and they're talking and telling stories. And Witchwood is, what if they were telling ghost stories? What if instead of telling, normal adventuring stories or scary stories about the undead army up north, they were telling ghost stories. And so Witchwood captures that.
Tak Peter říkal, že ten důvod, proč přišli s Witchwoodem, tak je kvůli tomu, že oni chtěli udělat expanzi, kdy prostě budou hrdinové z Warcraftu vyprávět strašidelné historky. A vy, co jste někdy hráli Vovku, tak znáte Gilneas a spol, tak to je úplně přesně jako ono.
Something just out of the corner of your eye, and then you see it again, and you see it again, and that's where Echo comes from. And then Rush is to capture the ferocity, the speed of the Worgen. So they're moving quickly, they can attack minions the turn they come out. And then beyond that,
tak máme se těšit na spoustu Worgeních karet, protože prý Rush je přesně jakoby ta abilita, která by měla definovat Worgeny. Worgeny jsou rychlí, úderný, zabijáci.
Your hero power is better. It's either upgraded like Justicar or it costs 1 mana. And those are huge deck building hooks. You can build all kinds of crazy different things with that.
Yeah, I think people also were talking about.
Tak zároveň taky tady mluvili o tom, že samozřejmě jsou tady ty lichý a sudý karty, to jsme si říkali 2 týdny zpátky, kdy se tady postavit balíky okolo Gena a okolo Bakua.
So I think people were really receptive to that idea, especially since you're making a pretty big sacrifice. People compare it to like the princes, for example, from Knights of the Frozen Throne. But if you're going to be, missing mana cost on all the even slots or all the odd slots, you better be able to compensate by having some consistency with that.
Right, exactly. It's comparable to Reno Jackson, where you have this incredibly big deck building restriction, but a very powerful effect. And so with Reno,
krásný příklad, tady Peter porovnává vlastně, nebo přirovnává Rena k tomu samému efektu, co má Baku a Gen, kdy prostě ty ability, které mají Gen a Baku, tak jsou strašně silný, ale zároveň je to vykompenzovaný tím, že musíte hodně změnit ten balík, který budete prostě hrát k tomu.
Right, and then we had one other mechanic that was introduced that was, really fun, which was a flip in your hand. We had the Pumpkin Peasant, which was a 3-mana 4/2, but also became a 2/4 depending on what turn you held it on. Now it's kind of, is that the transformation, the werewolf kind of becoming something else? That part of the haunted lore?
Yeah, exactly. It's the Worgen transformation. They all start out in human form.
Výplňová otázka.
Low attack, high health version, and
vysvětlím. Worgeni tak jsou prostě vlci, werewolfové, kteří se transformují do lidi naopak. A ta abilita, kterou má třeba Pumpkin Pillager, tak je přesně jako abilita, kterou mají mít Worgeni v Vovka, že jo?
And this is just a card review stream. We're not going to be playing games ourselves, and we're just going to try to get hype and explain what's going to be happening with Witchwood. So with that, do you want to just look at the first card here?
Yeah, let's get started.
Jdeme se podívat na první kartu, dámy a pánové. Houndmaster Shaw.
Alright, so this is a Hunter card. It's a legendary Houndmaster Shaw, 4 mana, 3/6. Your other minions have rush. Very simple, very straightforward.
Za 4 many legendárka pro Huntera, 3/6. Ostatní minioni, který máte na stole, mají rush. Vaši.
Sometimes Hunter used to do that in the past anyways, just so they can push more damage, like more the mid-range Hunter decks.
Jen tady rychle vysvětlíme, co je to rush. Rush je úplně stejná abilita, jako je Charge, takže minioni, kteří prostě mají rush, tak můžou útočit hnedka první kolo. A nicméně, oproti Charge, tak můžou útočit akorát na ostatní miniony, ale ne do faceu. Vypadá to, že tohle je teda dost jako brutální, je to hodně dobrý na staty, hodně zajímavá karta, krásně do Huntera.
And I mean, yeah, people look at this, they think Tundra Rhino, they might even kind of get a reminder of the Warsong Commander days, having other minions with fast abilities. This seems really, really powerful. And so when you look at a class like Hunter, which naturally wants to push a lot of tempo and pressure, but when you utilize the rush mechanic, what are you looking at specifically when you're designing a card like this?
So we wanted to have rush in a couple of particular classes and say, okay, warrior, hunter, these are the classes that are really good at
to mě strašně líbí, tak tohle je dobrý vědět. A Blizzardi se snažili pushovat rush do klas, kam to patří, a to je warrior a hunter. Že prostě je zbytečný jako dávat rush do klas, jako je Priest a tak dále, ale chtěli to dát do těch klas, který prostě s tím nějak souvisejí, že jo.
This says hunter is going to be doing the rush thing. Hunter can be good at that. And so that's a cool place for Hunter to be for this expansion.
That's right. And I'm looking at ways that's open-ended too. It doesn't specifically say you have to play very aggressive or even very defensive. There's poisonous minions that you can use, really small ones that can get rushed. And it's not just your other beasts, your other minions.
So that opens up Hunter to
maybe not have to be so dependent on just beast synergy all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're doing death rattle things, it's great if your death rattle minions have rush, because then you get their death rattle effects immediately.
Right, yeah.
So that's another place you can play into it. Houndmaster Shaw as a character is also cool because he's from the adventure mode, from the monster hunts. He's going to be one of the classes that you can actually play there.
Houndmaster Shaw tak je jedna z klas, která bude součástí toho nového módu, toho Monster Rushe, Monster Huntu, který bude součástí zdarma nový expanze pro všechny. Zdůrazňuji zdarma. Ještě jednou, jo.
Yeah, it's an exciting card. It's just fun too, right? It's nice when you get to play your minion and then attack with it.
Yeah.
You get to do things.
That's what hunters should be doing. Should be more on the pursuit, options. So sometimes you want to chase down those kills. So again, I think Houndmaster Shaw, pretty solid legendary. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, this card's cool.
So with that, you want to introduce the second card here?
Yeah. So Houndmaster Shaw is one of the adventure guys. He's one of the kind of heroes of the Witchwood. He's kind of a bounty hunter that's going out into the Witchwood to find scary stuff. So what kind of scary stuff do we have in the Witchwood?
We have Rotten Apple
Tak za 5 many, 4/5, kamunka neutrální karta, Taunt, a má Death Rattle, že vám vyléčí 4 životy. Jasně.
Very mid-range card. I think the first card that sticks out to me is the fact that there's Antique Healbot and Sludge Belcher in Wild, and how at 5 mana they were very defensive, gain around 8 to 9 health around that range and still fight. Is that kind of similar to what this card is role trying to fill?
Yeah, this is kind of a cross between the two, right? This is a 5 mana, 5 health taunt, and then when it dies, it gives you another defensive thing. Sludge Belcher gave you a 1/2 taunt, this gives you 4 health back to your hero.
Který je za 5 many 3/3 vylečí 8, pak tam máte zombičou, která funguje ještě trošku jinak, pak máte mistrovství a tak dále. A tohle to prostě má být nějaká karta, která je někdy jako na půl cesty, kdy zároveň je to taunt, zároveň vás to vyléčí a zároveň prostě se to můžete zahrát v jakýkoliv klase.
Yeah, you know, I guess
Nezdá se, že to je moc zratelný, ale ještě uvidíme, že jo, protože spousta karet rotuje pryč do Wildu.
Like Sludge Belcher.
Right, yeah, so you gotta be really careful if they're putting a lot of silences out into it.
Good with the Zoth and Wild. Pretty exciting.
Yeah, you know, that's one of the things too is, I want to take,
je pravda, že ve Wildu je to zajímavý senzotem v tom, že jak to má Deadrattle, tak vy si to vyvoláte na zpátek, dáte si na zpátek miniona s tauntem a pak vás to znova vyléčí, když to umře.
A lot of these designs when you're looking at not only the new year in rotation, but also what stays forever in Wild.
Yeah, it depends on exactly the card. So it's important that Wild gets to stay crazy and that there's all sorts of, I don't know, wacky, insane, super powerful stuff that you can do in Wild. But it's also important that it stays like a fun format. And so we do definitely think about, oh, this is a cool combo with, you know, with Emperor or with N'Zoth or with some card that's in Wild and not in Standard. And so...
Oni teďko tady Peter vypráví o tom, jak čekujou karty vůči Wildu, takže čekují to s kartami jako je Enzot, jako je přesně Emperor a tak dále.
Yeah, neutral defensive cards are a good thing. We've been trying to put more like Tar Creeper in our expansions, so Rotten Applebomb's a good example of if you're a deck that
jo, takže strašně se jim líbil design Tar Creepera z Angora, no tak také nejlepší expanze, která kdy vyšla, že jo? A chtěli to zkoušet jako replikovat nějakýma podobnýma jinýma kartama. A tohle je právě ten Rotten Applebomb.
Are a really good mix as well.
Yeah, and it's a cool creepy tree.
But like druhý boss Dark Souls projekty.
The next card says apple as well, so I think this might be related. I like that it's very thematic to the Witchwood, you know, haunted trees of course, and the apples themselves being rotten here. This card's called Witchwood Apple.
Tak třetí karta.
Yeah, it's one of those little apples from the card art.
Okay, yeah.
Za dvě many spell pro druida Witchwood Apple, Kamunka, který vám dá do ruky 3 2/2 treanty. Treanti jsou 2/2 tokeni bez typu a bez jakýkoliv jiný ability, prostě vanilla 2 dvojky.
Okay, 2 mana 2/2 treants, yep.
Cool, so that just puts more resources into your hand. So this is kind of like a long value, but you have a lot of small tokens that you can keep capitalizing to your hand. And we're thinking like, you know, maybe having Mountain Giant in your deck perhaps?
Sure, yeah. If for some reason you cared about your hand size mattering, then this would be great for that.
Je takhle, takže ono to je součástí nějaký strategie, kde vy chcete mít hodně karet na ruce za druida. Zajímavý. Samozřejmě to teda brutální do arény, to jako jo, no. Ale jinak je to asi zase plňovka.
Are you trying to necessarily support an existing archetype, or are you just trying to create more open-ended stuff for Druid?
So this is the kind of card that can push in a couple of different directions. So maybe you want a bunch of little minions on the board. Maybe you're doing Savage Roar type stuff, or Mark of the Lotus and Wild, or you've got Direwolf Alphas, that kind of thing, and you just need some extra 2/2s. And so this will give you a lot of resources for late game. Maybe you're doing something where the number of cards in your hand matters, like Mountain Giant you mentioned. And so this could push in that direction, and that really
může být zajímavý hrát Mountain Gianty v druidovi s tímhletím, ale spíš si myslím, že to asi neuvidíme moc.
Summon a 1/1 wisp for each card in
za 4 many epika pro druida vyvolej 1/1 wispu za každou kartu v ruce. Here you go, no.
With the Mountain Giant we were kind of talking about, or even like Sea Giant. So if you're like playing Sea Giants, I mean, Giants Druid is pretty prominent in Wild, or the fact that Giants can be played really powerfully in Wild. Maybe it'll make an appearance in Standard with this.
Jako, já teda budu upřímnej, dokud je na standardu Defile, tak to podle mě dobrý nebude. A nicméně za rok by to mohlo být fakt dobrý s nějakým buffem.
I mean, people associate, you know, having a lot of cards with Warlock, for example, because you're drawing cards really early on. But Druid actually has a ton of card draw itself. So this hand Druid thing, is that
tak tady říká přesně Frodan, že lidi si typicky asociují klásu, která líže karty s Warlockem, protože Warlock má abilitu a kromě ability má ještě další karty. A druhý tady má Nourish a spoustu jiných karet, takže by to mohlo být celkem hratelný i na hodně jako velký prolis.
And I do like the pun again. I see what you did there. The Whispering Woods with wisps.
It's a little bit like Dark
Whispering.
It turns out we didn't fire the
guy. Je tam Whispering místo Whispering.
Okay, so he kept his job.
He kept his job, and that's actually the flavor text for this card is calling that out.
Yeah, I like the art too. It looks very nice, kind of like some of those Disney Pixar animation characters. But
yeah, it's cool. It's kind of a charming character, but
Disney Pixar animation charakter. Vypadá to tak, no.
You're walking through the woods, and there's a will-o'-the-wisp, just something out of the corner of your eye. I think it's cool.
I like that. I like that. We have another card here called Rebuke.
Rebuke, další karta.
This is a paladin spell.
Za 2 many spell pro paladina.
Enemy spells cost 5 more next turn. Okay, this looks really familiar. People.
Enemy spelly stojí
it's a little bit like a card that's in
kolo.
Wild, maybe something that happened a few years ago.
Prostě lotev nožička.
Okay, and it's really cheap. 2 mana. That seems really powerful to lock your opponent out of place, and you could stack them, right? You can play 2 in 1 turn, so basically
you can't play anything. Můžete zahrát 2 v jednom kole, pak zrašíte o 10.
If you're doing something crazy, like you're setting up Uther combo because you want to get a couple of horsemen out this turn, you're going to get a couple horsemen out next turn.
A teď říká Peter, že ten design, který s tím souvisí, tak je třeba Uther DKčko abilita, že prostě vyvoláte si jednoho Knighta Apokalypsy, pak zahrajete Rebuke, zahrajete druhýho a protivník na to nemá jakoby nějakým způsobem jak reagovat. To je jako zajímavé.
Interfere with your opponent's critical turns. There's some amount of skill testing here too that you have to know when your opponent's critical turns are. You have to get a read on do they have the AoE? What are the things that I need to mess with right here?
Yeah, anytime I'm playing Stand Against Darkness or anything related to it, I usually want to, but considering that some of those cards will be rotating out, we'll see if Paladin can continue to push Flood as much as they are right
now. Teď přesně tady Dan říká, Frodan tady říká, že teď je samozřejmě agresivní Paladin výrazně lepší, ale že jak spousta těch agresivních karet rotuje pryč, tak by se mohlo stát to, že tady vznikne nějaký midrange balík, který bude mít právě Rebuke v listu.
Right, exactly. It's cool to have different ways to interact with your opponent. We have Dirty Rat, we've had Lotheb, Rebuke is another thing in kind of that space of, okay, I'm not going to let my opponent do something this turn, but they can do something in the future. So it's not a hard stop. We're not destroying all their mana crystals or something, but it takes them a little bit more time to interfere with you.
Is there something particularly about why like Paladin would get something like this versus other classes that also could utilize interactive spell costs like that?
Yeah, I think it could have gone in a number of classes. I think Paladin says, we're going to play fair. You're trying to do spells that, like,
tady se teda ptá Frodan, proč to dali zrovna Paladinovi, proč to nemá jakákoliv jiná klasa. A oni to chtěli dát Paladinovi z toho důvodu, že Paladin má karty jako je Aldor Peacekeeper, který Humilita, který prostě nějakým způsobem devalvují ty karty, co hraje oponent. A tahleta proaktivní abilita se jim strašně líbí k tomu.
And so this gives them an opportunity to interact with their opponent, something that more warlocks or mages tend to do. And so it pushes them in a little bit of that space, which is interesting for them.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see, how every archetype of Paladin will use Rebuke. I think it's a pretty versatile card for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a cool card.
The next one we have, we're about halfway through. Wow, man, time flies by. This is the most fun time of the year for me. We have one called Vivid Nightmare.
Yeah, this card's weird.
Vivid Nightmare.
3 mana priest epic. Wow, really creepy. There's a lot going on there. He's being
epika pro priesta.
It's a very
vyber friendly miniona a vyvolej kupii, který má 1 život.
Well, priest is my vivid nightmare if you ask me. Right now, we'll see if this ends up continuing it. It says choose a friendly minion, summon a copy of it with 1 health remaining, and that's a minion that will be damaged to 1 health, or is just going to have 1 health like an Elder Peacekeeper?
No, it's a damaged 1 health.
Je to damage minion, takže
1/3 with 2 damage on it.
Okay, so you can moc brutální, ne, tohleto.
And draw a bunch of cards.
Yeah, I mean, people look at Molten Reflection immediately, and then there's even actually a synonymous card with
Radiant. To je strašně brutální.
To Angoro, so maybe there's a lot of combo potential here.
Yeah, and instead of
Počkej, to je Leroy Velen.
So it turns out,
ve Wildu nebudu ani mluvit.
Vivid Nightmare is 10 mana. So you can do
some crazy stuff. To strašně dobrý.
And then just maybe get more Vivid Nightmares or more stuff to get cheap stuff.
No, tak to tak chci vidět tohleto.
Prophet Valen.
No, Gromáš mi napadnul taky, ale Gromáš je v jiný kláse, že jo, takže to samozřejmě fungovat nebude, ale myslím si, že tuto kartu asi uvidíme.
When you're looking at like Vivid Nightmare here, are you designing it specifically for these combo decks, or are you just kind of trying to leave it more ambiguous for whatever?
This is a pretty open-ended card. Sometimes we'll have a card that we say, okay, this will probably go in this deck. This is very much the kind of card that could go anywhere. It's hard to say exact. It's not going to go into every deck. It's not going to go everywhere, but it could go anywhere. There's, you know, maybe you're doing it with Radiance, maybe you're doing it with Death.
Oni schválně dali Priestovi, aby snížili ten snowball potenciál, který by měli ostatní klásy, protože pro druida by to bylo mega OP, že jo, pro Warriora tak vůbec nemluvím.
I love these open-ended. I'm not sure exactly what to do.
Ale ten Priest jako
really makes me think, like, am I doing it with Radiance? Am I doing it with, you know, Rotten Apple Bombs just because I want the 4 health and an extra little bit of taunt? Am I doing it with Priest Quest? Maybe I'm just making a lot of Weasel Tunnelers.
Na zpátek, tak je to, že ty karty musíte držet v ruce.
That's right. I mean, that form of a deck actually end up making an appearance in the meta.
Takže uvidíme, jak by to vyjde.
Fatigue your opponent out of resources.
It's wild now, so maybe it's going to be harder to have it fit there, but you know, you can't go wrong with Weasels.
Yeah, actually, that's an interesting point to maybe even just think about for a second here. Priest was a class that people kind of say, you know, needs a lot of help from some of the expansions once in a while. And now with rotation out, they lose some of their best tools. They still have like Psychic Scream.
Yeah, like Weasel Tunneler.
They lose some of their other better tools like Weasel Tunneler. And Vivid Nightmares is
teďko tady přesně říká, že Priestovi rotuje strašná spousta karet pryč do Wildu, což je pravda. A tahleta karta je schopná vlastně udržet takového toho typického kontrolního kombo Priesta někde ve hře, protože vlastně Big Priest už fungovat tolik nebude, potom co rotuje pryč Barnes a Yishery a zároveň dračí Priest, tak těm rotuje úplně všechno, že jo, tam rotuje celý Karazhan, 5-6 a tak dále.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of implications of how you can utilize this with spellstones to try and, you know, increase your pool of bigger minions. But when we're losing Barnes and losing a couple of early ways to cheat out minions, it might be a little bit more tricky to guarantee that you're able to, you know, utilize this on all the big minions, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so we have now this is a card that you told me that was your favorite of the day, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we have Glinda Crowskin.
Glinda
this is a Warlock legendary card that says minions in your hand have Echo. 6 mana, 3/7, so not the most expensive card, but definitely not cheap, but has
legendárka.
A lot of combo.
Všichni minioni, co máte v ruce, tak mají Echo.
So much wisp value.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Wisp value.
That's not the first thing that came to my mind.
All right, fine. Infinite Sea Giant. So much Sea Giant value.
There you go, Sea Giants.
Infinite Sea Giants.
Oh man, this card must have given you such a headache in playtesting.
Oh yeah, this card's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm not on the final design team for the, you know, balancing the game. More on the dreaming side. What are the crazy things we can come up with? So I love these cards. You know,
Máte nekonečně wisp, přesně tak.
What are you gonna do with this? There's all sorts of insane things you can do. Is it actually wisps? Is it zero cost minions?
I'll tell you right now, it might not necessarily be the wisp, but you kind of brought up Sea Giant. That's an interesting thing.
Sea Giant's cool. Do you do Summoning Portal? Summoning Portal is the 4-mana Warlock card that makes your cards cost 2 less.
Teďko tady říká Peter, že to může být třeba kombinovaný se Summoning Portálem. Portál vám zlevňuje vaše miniony o 2. Dá se to všechno zkombit dohromady, no. Tohle je brutální, no. Má to samozřejmě, to má špatný staty, jako hodně špatný staty. Ale ta abilita by to mohla zachránit, no.
How does this work with a discard? So say if you play a card like Doomguard, will it put the Doomguard in your hand first and then you discard it?
Yep, I'm pretty sure that the Echo copy comes to your hand after the discard happens. So the
tak tady třeba říká, že budete chtít hrát 2 Doomguardy, tak zahrajete Doomguarda, zahodíte karty a až potom se prostě to Echo, takže vám zůstává ta kopie v ruce.
And then that would mean that like if you play like Cobalt Librarian, you draw and then
I believe you draw first. I'm not 100% sure. But
okay. Interesting. So that way it's one of the things that you have to make sure to sequence properly as well to make sure you're playing everything correctly to maximize your potential.
But yeah, Cobalt Librarian is another card pretty good with this.
Yeah. Oh, you're
Draw
right.
Draw a lot of cards.
Oh yeah.
Do a lot of damage to yourself.
Yeah, and then you know, if you're in Wild, you can play that Zero-Man Molten Giant a lot faster.
Sure.
Now.
Yeah.
I mean, this card.
Jako můžeme se asi dočkat nějakého Giant Warlocka na mechy, no.
I mean, when you're creating a set of cards.
Je to pořád to legendárka, furt je to celkem
drahý. I can't
drahý.
imagine how many processes and iterations that this card must have gone through when you guys were making it.
It went through a lot. This started as sort of a top-down design, so we started with a fantasy of the sort of Baba Yaga legend, where you've got this evil witch in the forest with her walking hut and stuff. And so she actually shuffled in like her heart into your deck when she died, and so when you drew that, you could resummon her. So it was the story of this immortal witch in the woods.
Jo, takže úplně původně ta karta měla lore takový, že to měla být nějaká baba jaga, která je nesmrtelná, že prostě když ji vyvoláte, tak vám zamíchá srdce do balíku a když umře a líznete si, tak se volá znovu nazpátek. Nakonec se z toho stala takováhle prostě věc, která vyvolává miniony prostě z ruky, no.
Yeah, exactly. So everything is scary.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is a really fascinating card, too, and the flavor makes sense. The heart thing, shuffling into, does that mean that, like, Glinda would have gone, like, dormant, you have to wake it up, like, the darkness?
She would have actually gone away, and then when you drew the heart, you would just resummon Glinda.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I mean, this seems a lot more, like, ridiculous, explosive stuff that would happen. That other version is, like, a really drawn out, it might never happen.
It was okay. It was cool to have this infinite minion, but, it's pretty exciting to get to give everything Echo.
Yeah, and good things.
Okay, to se skončilo u tohoto designu, protože to je poměrně zajímavý design.
Warlock has a lot of really powerful.
Uvidíme, jak to bude dobrý. No.
Yeah, it was everything for about 30 seconds until we remembered that Soulfire exists.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, so we had the Hunter legendary, we've had the Warlock legendary, and then the Rogue legendary was revealed. So some of these legendaries are really powerful.
Tak máme Rogue, Huntera a Warlock legendárku za sebou.
That's something that you're trying to drive, like have these legendaries be a lot of the big vehicles for some of these new mechanics to explore?
It's mostly that we have these new mechanics and let's play around with them. What does the legendary version of Rush look like? What does the legendary version of Echo look like? And Face Collector is an example, Glinda is an example.
Takže oni chtěli prostě udělat nějakou legendárku, která má abilitu, která je pro tu klasu typická. Takže třeba ta varločí, ta Huntera legendárka, jak má ten Rush, tak to je přesně ono. Varločí dává smysl, aby měla Echo, protože démoni a duchové. Face Collector to samý.
Cool. So that brings us to our next card here. We've got a few more. We've got Nightmare. Oh Jesus.
Nightmare Amalgam.
Amalgam? Okay. Yeah. I don't know, man, but
it's a little bit of everything.
It's
Nightmare Amalgam. Zatřimaný epická 3/4, která má všechny typy.
This is an elemental, mech, demon, murloc, dragon, beast, pirate and totem.
Yep.
So just literally every tribe.
Takže prostě minion, který má všechny triby, co existují, takže elemental, mech, demon, murloc, dragon, beast, pirate a totem.
So when this is a card, it just acts as a permanent effect if you're holding it or it's on the field. So if you're holding this card, it counts as a dragon hold, right, for other dragon synergies.
And even if you don't have it, so if you're discovering a dragon, this might be one of the options.
Aha.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Takže v případě, že budete třeba discoverovat draka, tak tahleta karta se nacpe do všech discoverů. Když discoverujete elementála, může to tam být, může to být discover murloc, může to být discover drak, cokoliv prostě. Má to synergii s pirátama, s beastama, Shamanovi s totemama.
The art, is this supposed to try to touch everything? Like it touches every tribe here, I'm guessing. Just
it's fantastic. We asked the artist,
could you please give us an
elemental murloc demon totem mech thing? And he's like, yeah, I've got you. And so he did. It's amazing.
I don't see the pirate side of it. Oh,
he's got an eye patch.
Right? Okay, yeah.
On the elemental.
Art je teda úžasný, to souhlasím, no. To je třeba teda velice silná karta do arény. Pokud z toho máte něco. Trochu nějaká, proč je to teda epic, ale asi to má nějaký svůj důvod. Možná by to tam nepadlo tak moc často, ale why not?
Yeah, I mean, it's a 3-mana 3/4, so it's pretty reasonable.
Jo, takže by to v aréně bylo moc silný, jak je to 3 mana 3/4, takže proto to je epika.
I'm looking forward to see if people can make this card work. It's, kind of a big question mark on where it fits,
Yeah, this is another one of those cards that who knows exactly where it's going to go, but there's a bunch of different possibilities for it. And that's a cool place for neutral cards to end up is, I don't know exactly where this is going to go. It probably doesn't go in everything, but there's a lot of decks that might try it out and might experiment.
One of the things that I really like about just maybe the set in general, but specifically even just how even odds and now this mechanic works, is that it touches every class differently.
Yeah.
So even though you might say that this is an overarching like archetype, like like Reno Jackson, for example, kind of made things feel very.
Tak třeba říkat jako Frodanem, to se mu líbí to, že každá klása tohoto kartu může využít jinak, anebo naopak taky vůbec. A já třeba řeknu, že si pamatuju tyhle ty typy minionů z Magicu, kdy měli prostě třeba all typy a bylo to poměrně zajímavé. Takže jsem zvědavý na to, jestli to bude hratelný nebo ne. Ale v každém případě to určitě uvidíme.
All the hero powers upgrade differently with Baku, so warriors becoming more defensive, hunters becoming more
aggressive. To je třeba porovnávají toho amalgama s Bakuem a Genem, kdy každá klása využije tu abilitu jinak. Takže uvidíme.
This will call out patches for you.
You're right. Yeah.
Jo, vyvolá to pačese. Je to pirát, vyvolá to pačese. To je pravda. To je pravda.
So we have another card here. This one is called Witch's Apprentice.
Witch's Apprentice.
It's a 1-mana frog.
She's adorable.
Za 1 manu 0/1 Beast Tauntem, je to žába. A má battle cry, že vám to dá do ruky random Shaman spell.
Shaman spell to your hand. It's a beast, 0/1. So it's kind of like the babbling book effect.
Yeah, exactly. She wants to cast a spell.
Takže oni chtěli dát do hry prostě kartu, jako je Bubbling Booka, ale pro Shamana, takže tohle je prostě Bubbling Frog. Bubbling Frog.
That's really funny too, because that's what the hexed frogs stats are, right? So it just kind of adds to that flavor of Shaman, just like we turn things to 0/1 taunt frogs.
Yeah, she didn't start out as a frog. She was apprenticed to Hagatha, and then things went a little bit wrong.
Ooh, gotcha. So Hagatha's got a little bit of a temper, huh?
A little bit, and she's okay when her apprentices do things a little bit wrong.
Učednice Hagaty a nakonec se stala žába.
Some are moving because Year of the Raven, but some will live forever in Wild here. No shaman spells have been revealed, right, as far as my correct.
Jako toto může být samozřejmě strašně dobrý do tempáši, když vám to bude dávat dobrý karty. Problém je v tom, že šaman má strašně špatný class karty, jako je třeba Totemic Might a tak dále. Takže podle mě to moc hratelný nebude, ale uvidíme.
Yeah, it's a really fun card. Babbling Book was a lot of fun. Witch's Apprentice is really fun. Which one's better? It's hard to tell. Sometimes you just really need that taunt body to block for a turn. Sometimes you want the one attack. So it's a pretty interesting card, and there's some cool shaman spells that you can get off of it.
That's right. I've also noticed that a lot of these cards just incidentally have beast tags. I mean, obviously because the frog has to kind of be consistent with the other frogs that exist out there in Hearthstone. But it seems like there's a lot of beasts being added to the set, even in classes that don't necessarily.
Takhle tady Frodanem vzpomíná to, že vypadá to, že spousta beastů jde do hry. Jestli to má nějaký důvod?
It's a little bit like Un'Goro, where we were doing the dinosaur set, so it made sense. Oh, we're gonna have a lot of beasts. So this is we're doing the spooky forest set. It makes sense to have a lot of beasts.
Že proto dává smysl, když prostě vyšlo Un'Goro, tak dinosauři byli beasti, takže dávalo smysl tam mít hodně beastů. Tak to dává smysl mít spoustu beastů, když je to prostě strašidelný les, ve kterém jsou beasti. Taková logika, ty vole, no dobře.
Spooky is more the theme rather than beast, but it happens that there's a lot of creepy creatures out in the woods.
Makes sense.
You know, Nightmare Amalgam, that's another beast.
Sure. I guess that brings us to our last card.
Yeah.
Tak poslední karta dnešního dne.
This one, I already know the name of it, but I'm not going to spoil it for you guys. Let's go ahead and just show it on screen. This is the card that people were looking at with the reveal video when it was shown. It was the Shaman Hero card.
Dead Knight, respektive není to Dead Knight, ale je to nový hrdina pro Shamana. A má battle, že dá zapředu všeho. A jako každý jiný hrdina, tak vám dá 5 armoru.
You really wish the board was clear, so she'll help you get there.
Okay.
Masakr, no.
Is this all we see?
No, we got the hero power.
Tak má hero power je to pasivní abilita, když zahrajete miniona, tak vám dá do ruky random shaman spell.
After you see a minion, add a random shaman spell to your hand.
To je OP svině.
That's a lot of value.
So every minion essentially becomes Babbling Book.
Yeah,
great.
Every minion becomes a Witch's Apprentice. Right.
Sorry.
She's apprenticing all of your minions.
Fantastic. That's so yeah.
Tohle je na rozdíl od Trala strašně dobrý v tom, že vám to dává karty navíc. Takže ono je to jedno, že vám to generuje random špatný karty, ale generuje vám to karty prostě.
Oh, we get to see her in action.
Pojďme se podívat, jak to vypadá.
Incidentally, be very good in the meta right now. I see a lot of this. Sweet animation as well. I love it.
Yeah, I love that effect.
It's like a
great.
curse the ground type of thing going on.
Yeah, spooky lightning. It's cool.
Jasně.
Do we get like an extra bonus spell here? Oh, crushing hand.
It's pretty good.
Jasně.
It's got some fire
Tady je
signs, some
přesně
crushing
vidět to,
hands.
že to může být i
I
špatný,
was
že on to
secretly
dává
hoping
prostě
that it
random
would reveal
spell.
like another bonus
Ale
spell
ta
that we
abilita
haven't
dává
seen yet. I'm
smysl,
like,
no.
okay, show me
Proč
some
ne?
really goods. Wow, so let's break this down here. I think going back to the very core, Shaman is the only class getting a hero card this expansion. Why is that, Peter?
It's mostly a flavor thing. We wanted ways to show off this is the coolest character in the expansion.
Teď se tady ptá Frodan na to, proč vyšel jenom hrdina pro Shamana a ne pro ostatní klasy. A právě to prostě součástí flavor textu té sady, kdy oni chtěli prostě tam mít takhle silného hrdinu pro Shamana, který dává smysl.
She's got 5 armor. You get a lot of value out of her.
Yeah, and I think people won't complain since hero cards is one of the cool things about Knights of the Frozen Throne. I mean, probably the most cool thing, just becoming the Death Knight. And people were wondering if that would make a comeback here. But I think people were also just curious, like maybe not necessarily like just about the mechanic itself, but why just Shaman? Is it just because the Witch is a Shaman?
Yeah, it's because the Witch is a Shaman, basically. Okay. And that was the class that made the most sense to have the hero card to be the Witch, and so we just wanted to do the one, and so Shaman made a lot of sense for it.
Gotcha. And then when you kind of like break down just the hero power, like what's kind of the
Prostě dávalo smysl udělat tu Hagátu pro Shamana, tak to
what
udělali.
the design is around it and how it kind of fits the Witchwood theme.
Yeah, so we wanted to push this hero in a different direction than Thrall. So Thrall says, put me in a deck with lots of minions. I'm going to transform them all into better minions, and then, you know, my hero power lets me keep upgrading them. Hagatha says, if you have a lot of minions, Thrall gonna die. So put me in a different deck than the Thrall deck.
Okay.
And this is more of the late game control style.
Takže oni spíš chtěli udělat jiný typ Shamana, jakoby late game kontrolního Shamana, kdy třeba prostě Thrall tak strašně pushuje ten agresivní type balíku s Evolvem a s doppelgangstrama a tak dále a s Bloodlustem. Tak něco Hagátu se v tomhle balíku jako nezahrajete a spíš to budete hrát v nějakém kontrolním balíku, který to prostě v late game využije jako board clear, podobně jako Anduin. A pak se bude snažit vyhrát na value.
It just feels like this card can sometimes just win games by itself. It becomes a battle of attrition.
Yeah, absolutely. You can get a huge number of resources out of this. There's a lot of removal, a lot of AoE in Shaman spells, so that's a lot of the types of things that you're getting. You can also get Spellstone. Spellstone's pretty good because you're also going to generate overload from the random spells you're getting.
That's right.
So that's a lot of value.
Yeah,
well, Peter říkal, že tam je spousta spellů, který můžete dostat. Je tam třeba Spellstone, který vám může rozmnožovat ty miniony. Board cleary, který Shaman má, jako je Vulkáno, že jo, Storma, Portál. Portál je vždy jako ve Wildu, nebo bude ve Wildu. Pořád je tam to dost.
And they feel like they have some great spells. You know, they had really good packages in Jade and Evolve and Elementals. Maybe a card like this, with a new fresh start in the Year of the Raven, can really help them at least in Standard, because everyone knows how powerful Shaman can be in Wild, for example.
Yeah, back in the Whispers of the Old God meta, there was a Bogchamp deck a long time ago.
Yes, thank you.
So and this is kind of in that same space. If you're playing a super long game controlling Shaman deck, maybe you want some extra value to go.
To přesně říká, že to porovnává s balíkem, který byl 2 roky zpátky, byl takový ultra kontrolní šaman, tak tohle je něco podobného.
With Hagatha, I do anticipate a lot of people playing Shaman or trying to open or maybe even craft Hagatha and play on day one. But it's cool. I'm going to just go ahead and ask you, is this going to kind of be something that you guys regularly revisit, just having the idea of like a hero card maybe appear in an expansion based around...
To, co tady ptá Frodane, se budou tohoto dělat častěji, že se vrátí k hrdinům v jiných expanzích. Pokud to bude dávat smysl, tak ano.
Keywords or the mechanics that we can bring back that are cool. I think hero cards are a perfect way of capturing the flavor of the central character of an expansion. So I think that's absolutely an opportunity for the future.
That's right. It's something that does make Hearthstone a little bit more.
Tak jsem odpověděl, ano, že bude dávat smysl taky.
We don't no longer have those tag, but you're still able to be able to assume the role-playing element of it.
Yeah, you get to be Haggett then. You get to have your emotes changed, so you're gonna have totally new emotes that are in her voice, which is cool.
I do want to ask you about one thing as
ještě tady vidíme to tak jednou zrovna. Tak se můžeme podívat na Hagáto ještě jednou. Má vlastně emoty jako každý DKčko, nebo spíš jako každý hrdina. By the night.
Oh, that's
Unwise je krásný.
I'm already regretting or just like resenting the idea of my opponents telling me unwise after every single card I play. I already know,
unwise.
I've been trained from a young age to already think that. Peter, wow, this was really fun. We've had 10 cards revealed.
Takže dneska jsme se podívali na 10 karet, což je teda třetina toho, co jsem čekal, klasika.
Is Unstable Evolution going to gain like the word echo at all, or is it just kind of keeping its
status? It won't. It works very slightly differently. The echo cards give back themselves. The Unstable Evolution.
Teďko tady je dobrý dotaz, jestli se bude revisitovat nějaký karty, jako je třeba Unstable Evolution, jestli budou dostávat echo nebo ne. A není to tak, je to kvůli tomu, že oni fungují trošku jinak.
Unstable Evolution, then you get the echoed-ish version in your hand. With echo cards, it only works if you play them from your hand. There's some like really tiny differences between them, but no, we're not going to change the wording on Unstable Evolution.
Even from the grave of Standard and moving into Wild, Yogg is still giving you guys a couple headaches here and there.
Praise Yogg. Yogg is always out there.
I like it. Peter's been really fun. You know, this is all we have in the very beginning. This kicks off reveal season. But I want to ask you, do you have any of the cards that reveal so far that are your favorites, or something that you like?
Man, I love Glinda. I think that kind of open-ending deck building is incredibly cool. I think Baku is one of my favorite cards in the whole expansion.
Frodan zeptal na Petera, která karta se mu líbí nejvíc, tak prý Gwen a Glinda, že to je jakoby úžasná kombinace karet, které spolu jako nějakým způsobem fungují. Bude to hodně zajímavé.
I think there's a lot of cool stuff that's been revealed. Black Cat's adorable.
Yeah,
It's just so cute.
Super cute. I think it's power creeping again on all the other cute stuff. Murloc, Tiny, Finn, Snowford, Penguin. Step aside for the Black Cat.
Yeah, Black Cat is awesome. There's a lot of stuff I'm really excited about.
Yeah. I'm really excited because I love playing Hunter myself, so I think Houndmaster Shaw is a really fun card to think about.
Potom tady říká, že se mu nejvíc líbí Houndmaster Shaw.
Had some weird identity issues, but
kind of
found itself the middle end of the year of the Mammoth.
Makes sense.
I think Hunter's in a pretty good spot right now with Spell Hunter. People can still play mid-range and even aggressive forms. So I'm looking forward to see how they can capitalize on it. Peter, thank you so much for having me. Is there anything that you kind of want to say to end the stream here?
No, I'm just really excited about the Witchwood. We'll start community reveals tomorrow.
Tak od zítřka od rána začínají Komunitní revealy, takže od zítřka bychom měli znát 2 nebo 3 nové karty denně. Takže se na to těším a uvidíme se dál.
Pleasure is mine. It's the most exciting time of the year, and I'm glad to always do it and be part of it. If you guys missed any of the cards, or say you caught part of the stream, you can go to playhearthstone.com with all the reveal cards so far, and then of course plug into the local community. It's whether it be on social media, on Reddit, etc., and just get discussion about the cards going. It's really exciting, and like you said, it starts tomorrow for the community reveals with streamers, websites. I can't wait.
I'm really excited. Reveal season is the best season. It's so much fun.
All right, well, thanks so much, Peter. Thanks so much for having us, and make sure you guys get your pre-order and stay tuned for more Witchwood updates, which will start, I believe, tomorrow for the community reveals. Until then, this has been Frodanem and Peter.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone watching.
Takže dámy a pánové, tohle je všechno z dnešního livestreamu s Peterem Whalenem a Danem Chowem. Já vám děkuji, že jste tady dneska byli a podívali se na tyhle ty karty s váma, a pokud máte k tomu jakýkoliv připomínky, jak se vám líbí nové karty, tak mi tam do komentářů, já se to hrozně rád přečtu a budu se těšit u detailního hodnocení nových karet. Díky moc.